and sister. Now let's get started. So we left off with like the Forest of Death just starting. So once they do that, the three Uzumakis jump in ready to go. But out of nowhere, a giant breach of wind would come, and they'd all jump out of the way. And Naruto wouldn't be sent back this time because he just jumps. So basically, out of nowhere, Orochimaru comes in and he's like, "Hello, children." He's like, "Oh, I'm coming for you, time to die." So then Orochimaru would rush right at Naruto, then would jump in the way and kunai him. By I mean stabbing him in the arm. Orochimaru would jump back and immediately rip it out and say, "That didn't hurt at all." Then he'd heal himself a little bit, then jump up in the air and say, "Die! Die, you fucks!" Yeah! Clashing with him, saying, "Durr," with his own kunai, and then he'd jump up, and then he'd go right behind Menma and kick him in the back, saying, and Menma would cough up a little tiny bit of blood, and then out of nowhere, Naruto would come out of nowhere and slice him. Then Naruto would jump up in the air and say, "Wind style, Gale Palm!" Hitting Orochimaru with full power. They'd say, "Guys, let's do it." So they all jump back and they say, "Lethal Uzumaki! Steady!" They all create two shadow clones and they blast them forward with a lightning kunai, slicing right through, going so fast. Blitzing right through Orochimaru, saying, "This is the lethal Uzumaki strike!" Out of nowhere, they'd catapult Naruto. She says, "Water style, severing wave!" Cutting through Orochimaru's arm. Then say, "Water style, great basin!" Naruto, Orochimaru's flooded. Then they'd throw Menma in. He'd say, "Indiscriminate shock, 1.4 million volt." I'm kidding. He'd say, "Lightning style, lightning stream," lighting up. Then they'd send Naruto up. He says, "Wind style, air bullet." Absolutely wrecking him. He's like, "Do, that's what you get." Saying, "Ah!" He'd appear out of nowhere and say, "Here we go. It's over. Orochimaru." Naruto would say, "Wind style, Gale Palm!" And absolutely wrecking Orochimaru. Saying, "That is what you get. Ah!" And then Menma says, "Here we go. Everyone, let's go to our full force power." But then Orochimaru goes full power, not full power, but like 10%. And he just starts to body the three of them. He goes, "Die!" Rushing right at Naruto, saying, "Die, Jinchuriki! I will be taking the Nine Tails with me!" The three of them would say, "No, you won't!" And they go into their cubey-eyed form. All of them disappearing from Orochimaru and punching him in the face. And then his face explodes, and then his head explodes, but then they realize it was a clone. Because they punched him in an angle that all his face just destroyed. Then they jump up in the air and say, "Here we go!" They do a combined full force lightning air bullet. They say, "Lightning style, air bullet!" They're gonna say, lightning style, lightning bullet! 100 lightning senbone come. And he's like, "Needle G," and then Naruto would say, "Wind style, Gale Palm!" He says, "Futon, Nekusa!" I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. So then he jumps up in the air, and then they yell, "Rasengan!" Menma and Naruto are doing most of the work. Well, Naruto is acting as a support. Then Orochimaru would try to lay the heavenly curse mark. But then, out of nowhere, he's kicked in the face. by someone. It's Naruto. Naruto kicks him in the face, saying, "Get back! Now!" Out of nowhere, Orochimaru would create 2 clones, and they'd all 5-prong seal them. Would 5-prong seal Naruto and Menma. She said, "I'll let you live. Only because you're worthy of fighting me at 100%. He's like, alright. She's like, so then she takes, Naruto takes Naruto and Menma away, saying, and then putting them under a tree. Then, they hear another scream, ah! And then he hears 2 screams. When they come, and it's Sasuke and Izuna getting wrecked. So basically, when Sakura would come, when Naruto would come to her little base thingy, come under the tree, she'd be like, what happened to Izuna and Sasuke? They were defeated by some random snake guy. He said, so were Naruto and Menma and me. Wait, Sakura says, wait, you fought? He says, yeah, I'm not as useless as you. And she says, what? And she says, you're useless, Sakura. Get it. And she says, whatever, I have medical ninjutsu. I can heal them a tiny bit. I'm not really that skilled in it. I'll have to heal my teammates first. She starts to heal up Naruto and Menma. And then she says, why aren't you healing Sasuke and Izuna? They're way more important. Naruto says, shut up. Sasuke's not that important, neither is Izuna. We had the 9 tails in us. If that's gone, the whole village is dead. She says, oh, and then she says, Shadow Clone creates 2 clones to heal up Sasuke and Izuna. And then another clone to help her heal Naruto and Menma. So when she heals Menma and Naruto, they finally wake up. They don't wake, but not before being attacked. Zaku would awaken, so Zaku Dosu-sama would attack, and he'd be like, I'll be jumping like, he'd be like, I be wrecking everyone. So basically Zaku would destroy Naruto and Sakura. But then Naruto would activate the one-tail cloak. No, not the. Yeah, she'd activate the one-tail cloak being wild, then slamming her fist into Zaku's face. But then Naruto and Menma wake up, and Sasuke does too. But Sasuke also has the curse mark. When Sasuke has the curse, when all 3 of them wake up, they immediately blitz Zaku and destroy him. All 3 of them destroy him. Then they look at Dosu, and they say, wind style. They say, wind and fire style. Air flame bullet. In a giant gust of wind and air, and fire blast Zaku, and they basically incinerate him. Would incinerate Dosu as well. Then they jump, and then Naruto and Menma they'd all go, and they'd go their separate ways. Rock Lee isn't injured and he's not needed. They'd take his scroll and then they just dip. So once they make it to the tower, Naruto and Menma would all make it easily, and then they open the scroll, it's Iruka. Iruka says, wow guys, you made it. Nice job. So they announced the first round of this 3rd round of the Chunin exams is a fighting thing. The first match would be a very interesting match. It's Kiba versus Menma. So when Kiba rushes at Menma, he says, I'm gonna destroy you, fang over fang. Men would say, nice try, lightning stream. And electrocute Kiba, taking him off of his finger frame, then appearing right below Kiba and saying, eat this, Gale Palm. Setting him up in the air, and then appearing right above him and saying, So basically, he'd say, "Bye, Kiba, you're done." Then he'd spin around and kick Kiba down. Kiba would be knocked out. Moving on to the next match, Naruto versus Sakura. If people don't know, of course, if you just go watch the first parts, Naruto is Naruto's sister and Menma is Naruto's brother. So the match would begin. Sakura would immediately rush, and then immediately just get one punched in the stomach, sending her flying up in the air. Naruto would appear right behind her and say, "Severing Wave!" is about to cut her in half. I'm kidding. She puts less chocolate in it, and then it hits Sakura for really big damage. Then she appears right behind her and says, "Hello," with the QB eyes, and says, "Wind style, Gale Palm," and blasting Sakura into the ground, absolutely wrecking. The Uzumaki team is just overpowered. Sakura doesn't stand a single bit of a chance. Next round is Sasuke versus the Rain Ninja dude. Sasuke would obliterate him as usual. The next match would be Naruto versus Oboro. Naruto would immediately start off by activating the QB eyes and one-shotting him, because he's just not in the mood right now to fight the guy who attacked them at the beginning. He just one-shots him with a QB-eyed punch to the face. He just blitzes and then punches him, which his face goes into he shoves him so far with his fist. His face goes straight into the wall, knocking him out. All the matches from then on, except for Ino would not pass at all because, well, she didn't have her fight with Sakura. All the fights would go pretty normal except for this fight. There's a new fight. Neji versus... Well, actually, it's not Neji. It is Neji. It's Neji versus Rock Lee. When it started, Neji would say, "Byakugan!" Lee would immediately rip off his weights and say, "Let's go, Neji!" Disappearing from Neji's vision and kicking him in the face. Then kicking him up in the air and then saying, "Primary Lotus!" And then Neji says, "If I rotate the other way, this will go in my favor. Rotation!" And he rotates so fast. He's going and they're actually trying to compete. So the rotation actually doesn't do anything. It's just they're just falling. Then Rock Lee would knee Neji in the stomach so he doesn't get it. And they kick him out. Then Rock Lee would appear right below him, about to kick him, but then Neji would grab Rock Lee's foot and spin him around. Then saying, 8 trigram 64 palms, right about to hit him with his first strike. Rock Lee would appear right below him and say, one punch sends him up in the air. Neji would land on his feet and say, "Naruto, Menma," and Naruto would be like, "Awesome." So that's how good he is. Then Rock Lee would say, "First gate, gate of opening." Then blitzing to Neji, kicking him in the head into the wall. Neji would say, "Nice try, Lee," and then poof. Lee would be like, "Ah!" about to punch Neji. Neji would say, "Rotation." Lee would say, "Morning Peacock!" Yeah! And just keep on punching it. Then he'd say, "Second gate." I don't know the second gate or the third gate. I know the fifth gate. He'd go, "Ah!" trying to break through Neji's rotation, but it's not working. Then Rocky would say, "Leaf Flash!" appearing right next to Neji and kicking him up in the air. Then a heel drop saying, "Leaf Rising Wind!" kicking him down, then saying this one thing. "Ah! Eat this, Neji! Neji, you! Eat this, Neji! Primary Lotus!" hitting Neji and then going into the fifth gate. He just skips the rest of the gates and just go to the fifth gate. And then he says, "Ah! Hidden Lotus!" and absolutely wrecking Neji. It's not even a challenge. Neji just gets wrecked. So then he says, and then Rock Lee would win this match. The next match would be interesting. Is Izuna versus Oh yeah, if you don't know who Izuna is the replacement for Naruto, because I'd rather put him on Nidhi. And he is also a Hyuga. I know people think Izuna's the Uchiha now, Madara's brother. I'm changing him. Izuna Hyuga. He's a Hyuga. He is a Hyuga who has the same strength as Neji, just a little bit stronger. He's like saying this. He is way stronger than anyone. He's known as the strongest kid Hyuga. So then when he would fight Neji, he'd be like, "Come here, boy!" I'm kidding. That was in the last What If. The What If I Was Naruto, where Izuna wrecked Neji. It'd be Izuna versus Gaara. Now, if Gaara just gets his chakra point shut off, it's end for Gaara, but if Gaara shoots the sand and Izuna can just use close combat, that does nothing. So, I'm gonna have to give, you know what? I really want to give this match to Izuna because she's just a good match, but Gaara would eventually win because Izuna would run out of chakra and just get wrecked. So that's basically it. Izuna loses. So moving on to the finals because I don't really care about the rest of the matches. So during the 30-day thing, Sasuke wouldn't actually train with anyone. He would probably go with their squad leader, which is, I have to give him the random squad leader, so Anko. He wouldn't train with her, he just wouldn't bother. He wouldn't get the Kakashi training, which means no Chidori. Because he wouldn't be on squad 7, he'd be on squad 6 with Sakura and Izuna. He'd probably go and ask Izuna if he wants to train, because, well, yeah, he got no one else to train with, and also it's Sasuke. He's gonna want someone to train with. I don't think that would happen. It's just I just don't see that Sasuke would actually be trained by Kakashi in this timeline. But who will be trained by Kakashi is Naruto, and Menma. They'd all be trained by Kakashi. With a month worth of training, they'd all master their one-tailed form with the help of Menma and Kakashi. With them all training, and yeah, they'd all equally grow as strong as each other. Thanks, my guy, thanks. Thanks, Slice Blaze. So, moving on to the next part. So basically, I am stuttering now. Alright, so basically, we're moving on to the final matches. The first match is Naruto versus Rock Lee. Now, people are gonna be like, Rock Lee's gonna get wrecked. I'm kidding. People are gonna be like, Naruto's gonna get wrecked. Wrong. Naruto will not get wrecked. Okay, I just kind of spoiled the fight, but you'll see how the fight goes to show why Naruto would win. So basically, when Rock Lee would rush at Naruto, and these two would rush. Naruto, Menma, and Naruto were trained in speed, so they can counter Rock Lee. So they both disappear from each other's vision and clash fists. When Rock Lee goes for the kick, Naruto would dodge out of the way and then punch him in the gut. Rock Lee would go flying, but then slide on his feet, saying, "You are good, Naruto." Naruto would say, Rock Lee would remove his weights again to fight Naruto and go fully powered up. And Naruto would get outsped here until he activates the QB thing. He'd be way stronger. He'd go super strong. He'd get really strong. About stronger than Weights Rock Lee, but not as strong as 8 Gates. Not as strong as 5th Gate. Oh, 5th Gate Rock Lee is not even that strong. Just saying. I'm kidding, Rock Lee. 5th Gate Rock Lee is strong. It's just not as strong as this kind of Naruto. Naruto would say, "How about this? Wind style! Wind scythe!" And he shoot a giant scythe of wind at him, cutting Rock Lee's legs up. Then saying, "All I have to do is knock him off his feet, and then I can destroy him." Naruto would go into his one-tailed state and pull out a paralysis seal. He'd blitz right next to Rock Lee without his 8 gates and slap it on him. Rock Lee would Rock Lee would be stuck, then Naruto would charge up something. Naruto would backflip, and then he'd charge up a spiraling sphere. Ah! And then he'd charge. While Rock Lee's just about to escape, Naruto create a shadow clone from behind, slips another tag on him, and then Naruto keeps on rushing. And then apparently blitzes right up to Rock Lee and says, Rasengan! And then he says, Minato's Jutsu! And destroying Rock Lee, sending him flying up in the air. And then Rock Lee would just be finished after one Vermilion Rasengan. The next match would be Menma versus Sasuke. This would be a pretty good match. I'm not going to spoil it. It would start off both with clashing with kunais. Then Sasuke would back up to the wall and charge up a new attack. It's called Purple Lightning. Sasuke charges it up and rushes towards. Menma would say, alright, let me show you my new jutsu. He charges it, and then he dodged. So when Sasuke uses the Purple Lightning, Menma would dodge and knee him in the stomach, then slam him down to the ground, and then he'd jump up in the air and say, Great Rasen Ring, and just yeet it down. He just drop it, exploding, absolutely annihilating. Now Sasuke doesn't even have a chance against that. But before that happens, when it's right about to hit the thing, Sasuke would say, Purple Lightning! And ram it into it, trying to push it down. Men would have put more power into it, and it would crush Sasuke, defeating him with that one attack. Next match would be Naruto versus Temari. Remember, Temari won her fight. Naruto would immediately would go into her one-tailed state and just punch right through Temari's fan, but then Temari would use her chakra to regen it and then say, Wind Scythe! Shooting it right at Naruto, but Naruto would shoot a blast of wind, clashing with that and eventually finishing it off. Then appearing right next to Temari, kicking her in the face. Temari is terrible in close range. Appearing right behind Temari, kicking her in the back. Then grabbing Temari by the face and slamming. Then saying, how about this? Throwing her up in the air, saying, Rasengan! Like it's just a basic Rasengan. And then jumps up in the air and slams it into Temari, breaking through her fan. And absolutely destroying. The next match would be Shikamaru versus Gaara. Gaara would win this match. Not before going crazy. Gaara and the Konoha Crush. But Gaara would just calm down randomly. No one knows why he's calm. But then Naruto, Menma, and a thing feel something weird. It's the Nine Tails talking to the One Tail saying, stop it. It's Menma's Nine Tails because he's feeling under control. Stop it, Shukaku. You do this, you will destroy this entire village and yourself. These humans aren't that bad. Naruto, Menma, and Naruto. These are not bad people. They are not bad humans. This village actually cares. They just don't think that. Because they are scared of us since we are giant-tailed beasts. If we were normal-sized, they would not be scared of us. It's just that we're really big. It's just that we're giant versions of animals. So Fukaku just trusts them. He says, alright, Kurama. And then Menma's like, Kurama? He's like, Kurama is my name. Naruto says, oh, hey, Kurama, then. He says, whatever, kid. So would Naruto's Kurama. Orochimaru would be like, no! He'd basically be like, no! Out of nowhere, Naruto would be like, hey, that Kage... He says, hey, Gaara, that Kage is kind of suspicious. He's like, Naruto! And then the third Hokage says, Naruto, show some respect for other Kage. He says, oh yeah? Well, punch him in the face and see what happens. He says, no, never. He says, Well, guess what? Why would the Kazekage, doesn't the Kazekage not have slit-like eyes? He goes, yeah, the Kazekage doesn't have slit-like eyes. Then he looks and he sees him with a kunai to his throat. Then Naruto would appear right next to Orochimaru and kick him in the face, sending him back. Then all Jonin and Shunin and the Genin would surround Orochimaru saying, you're not going anywhere, Orochimaru. He'd say, oh yes I am. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Creating 30 Shadow Clones to fight off the rest. When Orochimaru is about to escape, Menma appears right behind him and smacks him. Back fists him, sending him flying into a wall. I will be right back. Alright guys, I am back. Let's get started. So, basically, Menma would tell everyone to get back. He'd tell both of them to get back. Everyone, actually. Then he'd tell Naruto and Naruto to come here. They'd all put their Rasengans in, creating a giant vermilion Great Rasen Ring. I'm pretty sure Rasen Ring is the tiny one, and Great Rasen Ring is the giant one. They'd create one so big, and he says, Lord Third, please get all the guys, everyone out of here. He says, alright, everyone out. He'd create a giant Rasen Ring. And everyone's gone except for Orochimaru's clones and him. They'd be like, Uzumaki style, Great Rasen Ring. Ah! Alright, goodbye, Slice Blaze. So he'd throw down a giant Rasen Ring, exploding the ring. So, yeah, he'd explode the entire ring. And, yeah, that's basically it. No one would really get hurt. Everyone would be pretty fine. Except Orochimaru would escape. And, guys, that is the end for part 5 of What If Naruto had a brother and a sister.